Hi all, welcome to the Caseverse, your one-stop solution to case-based learning. In this video, I shall be discussing with you about why should the faculty be developing their own cases, or why should they be encouraged to develop their own cases rather than depending too much on borrowed cases or the cases developed by others. While of course it is not possible, it is not a viable idea to develop every case that you teach in the classroom, but it's definitely considered. Me sitting on a pile of about over 100 cases developed by myself, I am thoroughly convinced that it pays. It is definitely immensely contributive when you develop your own cases to teach the concepts that you take to the classroom. I'm here to share with you a few reasons that I have identified as to how it helps me in making my engagement more effective, more uh, more value adding as compared to taking a borrowed case from outside. Firstly, when the teacher takes the case developed by him or her into the classroom, it improves the concept, it deepens the conceptual clarity of the teacher. Why it is the same case, but then the process, the rigor that the teacher of the case would have undergone while developing the case, it adds immense value to one's own understanding of the scenario, the backstory that you would have gone through, the various numerous sources of information that you would have gone through while developing the case. It develops a whole lot of a body of knowledge on your mind around that particular case, around that particular scenario, which very clearly reflects in the faculty's understanding of the concept, much deeper, much clearer, much more effective than from a borrowed case. And in addition, it also contributes to much better, more enhanced analytical and storytelling skills of the teacher. When you're telling the story that you developed, I'm sure you can imagine it's always a better narration when you're telling a story created or developed by someone else and you just are the reader of the same story, right? So it presents you as a more emphatic, more influencing storyteller through the data, through the information that you would have developed by yourself. And in turn, hence, it makes the whole exercise of the case exercise, the case-based learning more effective, more impact-making on the learners. From the learning perspective, one can realize when you're taking your own case, you are actually progressing in terms of the learning continuum. You are no more just at the levels of understanding, recalling, and applying, but you are elevating on the Bloom's taxonomy of learning to the higher order components of learning, that is analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So thereby, as you would realize, as you create more and more cases, more insights, more inventive tendencies, more creating tendencies start occurring on your mind, and you are actually progressing, you are actually elevating on the continuum of a knowledge worker, of a researcher. You are no more just a specialist or an SME, but you are evolving as an opinion leader, as a consultant, as a researcher, as a thought leader. You're forming a very intelligent, educated opinion about the concepts discussed in the academics. That's from the learning point of view. From the student's point of view, when you are telling the story that you developed, it forms stronger impressions upon the learners or the students, as the case may be. They form much deeper imprints, much deeper, much stronger perceptions of the story that you are telling. And hence, the recall value of the concepts that are taught through the case that you develop are much more stronger and more effective, right? And hence it reflects in the essential skills of critical thinking, strategic thinking, and analytical reasoning that the learners are expected to reflect while the case discussion. And hence, in turn, a case developed by the faculty being discussed in the classroom is expected or is seen to be contributing more to the employability skills of the students rather than basing on too many borrowed cases. And finally, of course, from an institute's point of view, when you have faculty developing their own cases, it adds to the institute's repository. It is creating a body of knowledge. It creates your own intellectual property. It adds to the image of the organization. It makes the institute a creating organization rather than just a pedagogical machinery delivering lectures. It adds to the image of the organization as having a bunch of passionate researchers who are actively engaged in creating the body of knowledge rather than depending on the borrowed content. So while I am reiterating, it may not be a viable or feasible idea to create all the cases, to develop all the cases that you plan to teach, but it is definitely any day a very healthy idea to think of developing cases, as many as you can. Say if you have a plan of 10 cases to be discussed in a cycle, in a semester, at least 2-3 cases can definitely be thought of being developed by the faculty. I think that can be a good beginning. And on top of everything, this is what distinguishes a learning organization like the best of the schools in the world, like Harvard, INSEAD, Darden, which are known for their own cases. They develop their own cases, and they teach their cases in their classrooms, and that's what distinguishes them. That's what makes them continuous learning and creating organizations rather than consuming organizations. So I'm sure those are pretty good enough list of reasons as to why faculty should actively engage oneself in developing cases hand in hand with the reading or facilitating the cases. That's all for this session in this video. I'll be back soon with another insightful video. Until then, thank you all.